Hello and welcome to Live Parkinson's, Live an Exceptional Life, the podcast dedicated to helping you live a great quality of life with Parkinson's through strategies, stories, and science. I'm your host, Chris Customator, and I've been living with Parkinson's for 15 years. And I'm thrilled you join me today for our topic on Parkinson's and aerobic exercise, your blueprint for a better life. Now, let me ask you something. What if there was one simple habit that could help you improve your mobility, boost your mood, and even slow the progression of your Parkinson's symptoms? Sounds pretty amazing, right? Well, that's exactly what we're exploring in this episode. We're going to examine the incredible benefits of aerobic exercise for Parkinson's and give you a blueprint to get started. Stay motivated and transform your life. So lace up your sneakers and let's dive in and get started. Now, if you've listened to other podcasts, you know I like to provide a roadmap of what we'll be discussing. I think it's always nice to know where we're going and how we're going to get there. So let's give you that 30,000-foot view of what we'll be covering in this podcast. We'll lead it off with what is aerobic exercise and talk about how it's different for your body from other forms of exercise, like strength training and stretching and flexibility. Then we'll explore the benefits that aerobic exercise can provide to people living with Parkinson's, backed up by clinical research, so you don't think Chris is just making up the benefits because he likes to exercise. Then we'll talk about something we all face, and that's overcoming barriers to exercise. And then finally, we'll provide some specific tips and strategies to help you get started. Then we'll tie it all together. So why are we standing around? Let's jump in and get started. Now, before I jump into aerobic exercise and what it is, I wanted to share my personal journey with exercise. One is to see if you can relate, and also how exercise at different stages of your life may change. And second, to give you confidence that I do have some experience and knowledge with exercise. Now, since my early teens, I was always active and played several sports in high school. I played both football and track, which required me to be in good physical shape in order to play in the games and compete at the track meets. Now, I'll share a story when I thought exercise was going to kill me, and I thought to myself, wow, do I really want to do this? My junior year in high school, I decided to go out for track. And one of the first things that Coach S., who was the head coach, had us do was some testing to see what we were good at and what events would be good for us to participate in. It included some running tests, including sprints and distance running. We threw a softball. And at the conclusion of the testing, Coach S., who was a former Marine officer, said, "Chris, you did well in distance running. I'm going to have you run the mile and 2-mile events. So you're going to train with the distance runners." Well, I shook my head and said, "Sure, Coach, wherever you need me. I want to help the team." However, inside I was thinking, you have got to be kidding me. I'm 185 to 190 pounds. There is no way I can keep up with all the skinnier, lighter kids. So the first day of practice, right out of the gate, the coach says to the distance runners, "We're going to start out with an 8-mile run. We're going to run through town and then out into the scenic countryside and run the country roads and end up back here." I'm thinking to myself, Chris, are you crazy? Why did you sign up for track? What were you thinking? So off we went on our 8-mile excursion. As I predicted, all the lighter guys were about half to 3/4 miles up ahead of me. Luckily, we had a college student helper named Pete, and Pete would run with us, and he ran with me that day to make sure that I made it back alive. At least that's why I thought he was running with me. I thought, okay, I did it. I made it. I made 8 miles. And I was really rather proud of myself until day 2 rolled around and we walked out for practice. And Coach S said, "Distance runners, meet me on the track in 5 minutes. Now, keep in mind, this is 1980 and we had an old cinder track. So with the excitement and dread, we met on the track and Coach S said, "We're going to do half-mile intervals today." And he broke us into 2 groups. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, what are half-mile intervals? He said, "We're going to do 8 intervals. And the first one you need to complete in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And then he would add 10 seconds onto each one so that the next would be 2 minutes and 55 seconds, 3 minutes and 5 seconds, etc. And he said, if you don't make it across the line in the allotted time, I'm adding another one on." So I was in group 2 and I watched everyone in group 1 make it across the line in time. Now, I'm going to be honest. I was feeling a lot of fear and dread set in. So luckily, I was able to make it for the first 5 intervals, but I was really starting to fade. I made it through interval 6 and 7, barely, and now it was time for the final one. If I didn't make it, he was going to make me do another one until I made it. So he said, as I'm going into my final one, and I got going, and my legs started feeling like they were made of stone. And as I'm coming around lap 1, which there was 2 laps in our half mile, coach yelled the times, and I was slightly behind, and I thought, I'm not going to make it. Luckily, Pete was running with me, and he pushed me, and with a lot of fear and adrenaline, I was able to make it across the finish line. Either that or the coach felt sorry for me. I don't know, one of the two, and told me that I made it after my lungs were about ready to explode. So after one meet, he put me in the 2-mile run and saw that I couldn't keep up. And thankfully, he moved me to throwing the javelin, the discus, and the shot put, where I fit in a lot better. And I also felt more comfortable. And then after high school, I played college football, and I had to stay in shape and be in top condition so that I could, play the games and make it through practice. So I did a lot of exercise. I did distance running, weightlifting, sprints, you name it. Then in my mid-20s, I got married and had 2 children. And with work, kids' activities, and household responsibilities, there wasn't a ton of time for exercise. So I did it intermittently, and then this continued into my early 40s. So it was kind of waxing and waning. Now, I knew exercise was important, but I wasn't real consistent with it. Then at 46, when I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, I used my background in biology and working in research and development for 10 years to study how I could, if there was ways to slow the progression of Parkinson's. And all the studies pointed to exercise as one of the keys, along with medication, to help people with Parkinson's to lead a great quality of life. So at 46, I made exercise my mission. And since then, I exercise every day in some form, whether it be aerobic exercise, strength training, stretching, flexibility, or balance. Now, some days I don't have as much time, but I still do something, like I'll take a nice walk. And now at 61 years old, I've lived an exceptional life with Parkinson's. Now, again, I want to stress the term exceptional is subjective, and what I believe is exceptional may be different from your interpretation. But I attribute my good quality of life with exercise, medication, and the great healthcare that I receive at the University of Maryland. Now, does my exercise journey sound similar to yours, where you were very active when you were younger, and then maybe it waxed and waned in midlife, and now you're starting to pick it up again? So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, hopefully I haven't bored you to death, and now let's finally get into looking at aerobic exercise. First things first, what exactly is aerobic exercise? Well, simply put, it's any activity that gets your heart pumping and your lungs working harder, like walking, swimming, dancing, or cycling. However, the key is sustaining the activity for a period of time to improve your cardiovascular health, which, of course, is your heart and your lungs. Now, aerobic exercise, unlike strength training, stretching and flexibility, or balance exercises, focuses on endurance and stamina, which are vital for maintaining mobility and balance with Parkinson's. So when you hear the word aerobic, think oxygen. Think of when you're walking fast, you're cycling, or you're swimming, you're breathing harder to get more oxygen. So your body thrives on it, and aerobic exercise helps your brain use oxygen more effectively. And for those of us living with Parkinson's, aerobic exercise is a real game changer. All right, now that we know what aerobic exercise is and how it's different from strength and flexibility exercises, let's look at how does aerobic exercise benefit people with Parkinson's. Let's talk about why exercise is such a powerful tool for managing Parkinson's. It's not just about breaking a sweat, it's about doing exercise for a sustained period of time and sustained level so that you can reap the benefits of aerobic exercise. In an article entitled, "Can Exercise Help People with Parkinson's Disease? 4 Things to Know," that was published in Yale Medicine, the author noted that studies show that high-intensity exercise may slow the progression of the disease. As part of the article, the author notes several studies reinforcing the effects of exercise. In a study, long-term effect of regular physical activity and exercise habits in patients with early Parkinson's disease that was published in the journal Neurology, the study tracked 237 patients over a 5-year period, and with those with early-stage Parkinson's who were more active and had better physical outcomes than less active people with the disease. Higher physical activity levels were strongly associated with better functioning in activities of daily living, cognitive processing, speed, postural stability, balance, and gait, says Dr. Sewell Tinez, MD, PhD, a Yale medicine neurologist who specializes in movement disorders, including Parkinson's. Dr. Tinez stated that we can't stop the neurodegenerative process or even reverse it, but we're starting to understand how exercise can help change the plasticity of the brain, creating new pathways and strengthening existing ones, thereby changing the functioning of the brain. According to the Yale article, other research shows that high-intensity exercise appears to slow the progression of Parkinson's disease. Researchers asked patients to engage in high-intensity exercises, either cycling or on a treadmill, 3 times a week for 6 months. They assessed the study participants' motor symptoms before and after the 6-month period. They also compared the patient's progress to other Parkinson's patients who didn't participate in the high-intensity exercise program. They found that the disease in the exercising group did not progress much based on their neurological exam findings, Dr. Tinez says. That's what we call slowing down the clinical disease progression. So let's look at some specific benefits that aerobic exercise provides for people with Parkinson's. The first is improved motor function. And let's talk about reduced motor symptoms. Studies have shown that aerobic exercise can help alleviate common motor symptoms of PD, such as tremors, rigidity, slowness of movement, or bradykinesia, and gait disturbance. A study, systematic review, and meta-analysis on effects of aerobic exercise in people with Parkinson's disease, published in the journal NPJ Parkinson's Disease, the authors concluded that there was a significant effect of aerobic exercise on improving timed up and go tests, the Berg Balance Scale, stride and step length, gait velocity, and 6-minute walking test. Aerobic exercise had beneficial effects in improving balance, gait, and motor function in PD patients. And then in an article, Aerobic Exercise Positively Alters Parkinson's Brain, published by the Parkinson's Foundation in Science News, they cite a 2019 PD clinical trial called Park in Shape, investigating the effectiveness of remotely supervised aerobic exercise using a stationary bike, and that resulted in a reduction of PD movement symptoms. Reduced bradykinesia. Studies have shown that aerobic exercise can improve walking speed, gait, and overall motor function in people with PD. In fact, a study published in Frontiers in Neurology titled Aerobic Strength Exercise Improves Metabolism and Clinical State in Parkinson's Disease Patients. The authors found that aerobic exercise training improved clinical state in early to mid-stage PD patients, specifically impacting bradykinesia. All right, moving on to benefit number 2, which is enhanced balance and coordination. Aerobic activities can help improve coordination, balance, and agility, reducing the risk of falls. Research has demonstrated that aerobic exercise interventions can significantly improve balance and reduce fall risk in individuals with PD. Number 3, neurological benefits. Increased dopamine production, which we all know is important because if you have Parkinson's, a lot of times you're supplementing with carbidopa-levodopa dopamine. Aerobic exercise stimulates the release of dopamine, which we all know, again, is a neurotransmitter which is crucial for movement control that is deficient in people with PD. Now, in a study, aerobic exercise alters brain function and structure in Parkinson's disease, a randomized controlled trial published in the Annals of Neurology, the authors concluded that this study suggests that aerobic exercise stimulates functional and structural neuroplasticity in both motor and cognitive brain networks in PD. They concluded that the results suggest that aerobic exercise stabilizes motor progression and enhances cognitive performance in individuals with PD. They talked about neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. Exercise promotes the growth of new brain cells, which is neurogenesis, and enhances neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself and create new neural pathways, which helps us learn new things. And then also under neurological benefits is improved quality of life. Now, while it may seem counterintuitive, regular aerobic exercise can actually improve your energy levels and reduce fatigue in people with PD. And aerobic exercise has been shown to have positive effects on mood, reducing symptoms of anxiety and depression often associated with PD. And then finally, cardiovascular health. Aerobic exercise strengthens the heart and lungs, improving overall cardiovascular health. Now, I did want to state that it's crucial that you consult your healthcare professional before starting any new exercise plan, especially if you have Parkinson's. They can help you determine a safe and effective exercise plan based on your personal needs. All right, those are the benefits of aerobic exercise and what they can provide for people living with Parkinson's. Now let's switch gears and turn our attention to some specific aerobic exercises that can really be beneficial for people with Parkinson's. And let's lead it off with walking. Now, the nice thing about walking is it doesn't require any equipment except, of course, a good pair of walking sneakers or shoes. And it can be done anywhere, and we can do it by ourselves, we can do it with a friend, or even as a group activity. Walking is a simple yet powerful exercise. It's accessible and can be done almost anywhere. Research has shown that regular walking can help improve balance, reduce depression, and boost cardiovascular health in people with Parkinson's. Now, it's important to start with short, manageable distances and times, and then gradually increase your pace and your duration. And remember, consistency is key. So if, like I said in past podcasts, if you haven't been walking, don't say I'm going to go out and walk 10 miles today. Build into it at a slower pace and a shorter time, and then gradually, as you start to become more fit, gradually increase the time and the duration. Okay, next up is swimming. Now, swimming is one of my personal favorites, along with walking. Swimming is a fantastic low-impact exercise that's easy on your joints, and it does give you a full-body workout. The buoyancy of the water supports your joints and makes movement easier, which can be great for people with rigidity and tremors. Plus, as an added benefit, the resistance to the water helps build strength and endurance. Now, whether it's doing laps or water aerobics, the pool offers a refreshing way to stay active. Moving on to the third is cycling. Now, whether you prefer an outdoor bike or riding a stationary bike, or taking a spin class like pedaling for Parkinson's from the Davis Finney Foundation, cycling is an excellent aerobic exercise. It helps to improve your coordination, your muscle strength, and your balance. Now, the nice thing about cycling is it also allows you to vary your intensity level. Since you control the gears, or in the case of stationary bikes, the tension knob, which means that you can tailor your workout to your own fitness level. Now, if balance is a concern, consider using a stationary or a recumbent bike for added stability. Now, I enjoy cycling outside when the weather's nice and on nice days, but I also take a spin class at the gym 2 days a week, and then I'm a certified pedaling for Parkinson's instructor, and I teach a class once a week. And then next up is a great option, even though I'm not great at busting a move, if you will, and that's dancing. Now, my old standard joke is I'm not good at dancing because I spent the money my mom gave me for dance lessons on ice cream and pizza. And dancing's a great way to exercise because it combines aerobic exercise with balance and coordination. It's also a great way to stay social and to stay socially engaged and active. Now, there's ballroom dancing, there's salsa, tango, simple dance classes, there's Zumba. So moving to a rhythm can improve your motor skills, your flexibility, and your cognitive function. Plus, dancing's just plain fun. So find a style of dance that you enjoy and let the music move you. And then last but certainly not least, is water aerobics. Similar to swimming, water aerobics offers a low impact full body workout. Now, I do water aerobics classes, two different ones. I do one a week in the shallow end, and then I do a deep water aerobics class as well. And so there's classes typically available at local pools or fitness centers, and they provide a structured class with certified instructors. So it's a great way to stay connected with others in a fun and splashy class. And whether you believe it or not, my Apple Watch usually tells me at the end of water aerobics classes that I burn 500 to 600 calories, which is pretty good. So there you have it, a look at 5 great options for aerobic exercise for people with Parkinson's. Now, remember, the most important thing is to find an activity you enjoy and to stick with it. Exercise can be a powerful tool for managing your Parkinson's symptoms, so try to take advantage of that free, powerful tool. Now, let's move on to overcoming some common challenges with not only starting, but being consistent with exercise. Now, let's be real. Starting with and sticking with an exercise routine isn't always easy. I'll agree with you 100%, especially when you're living with Parkinson's. Fatigue, fear of falling, and apathy or lack of motivation can all feel like roadblocks to exercise. So one suggestion is to start small. Even 5 minutes a day can make a big difference. And then gradually build up your time and your intensity level. Break exercise down into 2 or 3 10-minute blocks or 2 to 3 times a day if you need to. Now, let's look at some specific strategies for overcoming many of the common challenges. And let's start with fatigue. And one of the ways you can start overcoming fatigue is to start slow and gradually increase. Begin with short, low-intensity sessions and gradually increase duration and intensity as you tolerate it. And again, I mentioned about breaking your exercise down into shorter periods and doing those 2 or 3 times throughout the day. And then if you have fatigue, it's important to prioritize rest. So ensure that you get adequate sleep and rest periods throughout the day before and after exercise. And then consider timing. Schedule your exercise when you have the most energy. Like for me, it's in the morning after a night's sleep or after a nap. Some people prefer to exercise in the afternoon. I just have more energy in the morning, and that's when I like to get my exercise in. And then fuel your body by maintaining a healthy diet with sufficient protein and carbohydrates. Now, if you want some more information, Parkinson's Foundation has an article on fatigue that can help you as well overcome some of the obstacles with fatigue. Next up is fear of falling. And one of the ways you can get around this is start with balance exercises. Incorporate balance exercises like Tai Chi, yoga, or any type of balance exercises. You can even use a balancing board. Now, I try to do balance exercises several times a week, 4 to 5 if I can. And it's really helped me improve my balance over the course of my disease. And then you can, if needed, you can use assistive devices like walking aids, like canes and walkers, if you need those. And then exercise in a safe manner. You want to pick a safe location with stable surfaces and avoid exercising in a place with a lot of obstacles where you might have trouble and risk falling. So also, don't exercise by yourself. Use a friend or a trainer to spot you and make sure that you're doing things in a safe manner. And then choose appropriate footwear. Wear shoes with good support and try to get non-slip shoes so that you're not sliding all over. And then I've done this myself, is work with a physical therapist. They can assess your balance and gait and develop a personalized strategy for fall prevention so that you can come out feeling a little bit more confident and that your balance is improving and maybe you're not quite as fearful of falling. Now, let's move on to apathy and lack of motivation. One of the ways that you can get over that is to find an exercise buddy. Exercise with a friend, family member, or join an exercise class for social support and motivation. Another way to get over lack of motivation and apathy is to set realistic goals. So start out with small, achievable goals and then gradually increase the challenge, because it's always nice when you make a goal and then you feel good about yourself. Track your progress. You want to keep an exercise log so that you can see your improvements, because that can help you stay motivated. So if you can see consistent improvement, you're more apt then to continue to want to exercise. Now, this one is key, and that's reward yourself. Celebrate accomplishments no matter how small they are, because even if they're small, you feel like you're making progress, you're more likely to be consistent and continue. And then make exercise enjoyable. Choose your exercises, or if you want to call them physical activities, that you find fun and enjoyable. Maybe it's dancing, swimming, gardening, yard work, you name it. Just pick something that you like and that you know you'll stick with, and that's going to go a long way in helping you stay consistent with your exercise. And then consider using technology. Utilize fitness trackers or apps to track your progress and set reminders. Now, personally, I use an Apple Watch that tracks my exercises, my steps, my heart rate. It even offers up challenges and gives me an award when I meet the challenge. Again, I want to mention that it's crucial that you consult your healthcare professional to discuss specific strategies for overcoming exercise challenges that meet your specific individual needs. So, are you ready to get started? So, what should you do? Well, here's some suggested strategies or tips to help you get started with aerobic exercise. Number one, I just mentioned, choose an activity that you enjoy. Whether it's walking, swimming, or dancing, picking something you enjoy makes you not only feel good, but you'll also stay consistent with it. Number two is set a schedule. Aim for 2 to 3 days a week at first, and then try to work up to a minimum of 4 and 5 days. And try to exercise for at least 20 minutes, but 30 minutes would be ideal. Now, the American College of Sports Medicine recommends that you do at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity work per week for adults, including those with Parkinson's. Be sure to include a warm-up and a cool-down, so you can start with some light stretching and after you get started, and then to get your body ready, and then cool down. And the reason you want to do that is going to help prevent stiffness. And then again, you can use tools and resources if you want. So again, you can use fitness trackers, apps, or local Parkinson's exercise programs to help you stay on track. You don't have to go out all at once, and just start moving. Remember, consistency is enough to see benefits. The hardest step is always the first one. So let's make today day one. Just take that first step and get started. Now, before we wrap up, let's recap. Aerobic exercise isn't just good for your heart. It's a lifeline for better mobility, sharper thinking, and a better mood. It's your secret weapon for managing Parkinson's and living your best life. I want to challenge you to commit to just 5 minutes of movement today. Take that first step. You'll be amazed at how quickly small changes add up. Now, if you found this episode helpful, visit my website, liveparkinsons.com, to explore more resources. And while there, don't forget to sign up for the free monthly newsletter for tips, inspiration, and updates. And if you'd like to support this podcast to reach more people, consider visiting my Ko-fi page, kofi.com/liveparkinsons, and I'll leave a link in the description. Every contribution, big or small, can make a difference. So thanks you so much for joining me today. Stay active, stay positive, stay healthy, and as always, live your best life with Parkinson's. See you next time, and thank you very much for listening.